All right, everybody. Welcome to the Contextual Christian Church Bible Study, where today we're going to read Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 to 28. I'm going to pray it in. Everybody bow your heads. Father, thank you for getting us together on this Bible study for this Thursday as we're going to continue into Daniel's vision, getting the context of that. And um, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So last time we finished up chapter 6, where we had the King Darius, who was in charge of the Medo Persian kingdom at the time, that he had made a decree. We had finished about how after, from the end of the chapter, when he had set up all the people and all the nations to be able to, after he had sent the people that, let me read, ah, let me re-say it. King Darius, after having sent Daniel into the lion's den because of his decree and not thinking it through, and after he had already taken him out of there, and after not just taking him out of the lion's den, but putting the people that basically deceptively try to get him caught up in that situation, that's what ended up happening. So at the end of it, what we got to with verse 25, going on to the end of the chapter, was where he had set up Daniel and his God, or in other words, the one true God, to be respected and taken care of because of how he had delivered Daniel and how he had understood it to be this way. So then we got into verse 1 of chapter 7. And all of chapter 7, as we went through the depiction and the discussion and everything, was literally just going through the different kingdoms, but as a representation through different kinds of animals. So that bottom line, first animal was a lion with wings like eagles, representing the Babylonian kingdom. Second was a bear with three ribs in its mouth, representing the Medo Persian kingdom. Third was a leopard with four wings of fowl and four heads, representing the Greek kingdom. And then the last one, which was a different from the others and had 10 horns, that was the Roman Empire as we went through it. And we went through a lot of context, not just in historical, but in other verses to back this up as the most likely interpretation and understanding of it. But today, we're going to continue in our reading portion of it, where we're actually going to start in verse 13 of 7. As I'll go ahead and switch it so that Charles can read.
All right. I'll start off with Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 to 17, and I'll give it a couple seconds. Verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the ancient of days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit, in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all of this. So he told me and made me known the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. So starting off with Daniel, in his night vision, he says that he sees one like the Son of Man. Not he, but Nebuchadnezzar did the same thing in one of our Bible studies. That when we went back, when Nebuchadnezzar, the king at the time, he threw three men that were followers of God in a furnace, a fiery furnace, a super hot furnace. No harm came to them. They never got burned, none of that. And Nebuchadnezzar said, I saw I saw a fourth in the fire, like the Son of Man. So Daniel's bringing that. Well, he's not bringing it up, but he's seeing it in his vision. So this is the second time in Daniel
Son of
we're seeing
Man?
that. Yeah, I just said Son of Man
You sure it was Son of Man?
on that Daniel part with Nebuchadnezzar. You mean?
Where he said about out of the furnace?
Let me
He
go
said
back.
the fourth looked like the Son of Man?
Let me go back. No, that's not the chapter. I'm about to get back to it right. Yeah, I think I found the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Bear with me, guys. No, no, no. My bad, man. Oh, the last one was Son of God.
Exactly.
Nebuchadnezzar said Son of God in Daniel chapter 3. Now, let's go back to Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. There we go. So now Daniel's talking about he's seeing one like the Son of Man who came in who's in the clouds of heaven um, in a particular time period. And they brought him near before him. Now let me read verse 14. And there was given him dominion and glory in the kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. That's what made me think about Jesus. Okay. That's what made me try to pull those comparisons together, thinking about Jesus. Because now he's talking about this person that was the Son of Man that came in the clouds having his kingdom, his glory. He's ruling over all nations, languages, that all these people would serve him, and his kingdom would never die. It would never be destroyed. An everlasting kingdom.
Not just that, but look in verse 13. One like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven. Okay. Where have we heard that before?
It's verses that you've used reference verses for. I don't have them on me, but there's like reference for like prophecies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There Revelations. There's
Jesus
one.
said in his second coming that he would be coming on the clouds when he talked about the day of judgment. This is talking about the second coming. The Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days. So then, who would the Ancient of Days be? Charles?
So the ancient of days would have to be some point in the future. I don't know exactly when, but some point in the future after all the prophecies have been fulfilled, after everything's been fulfilled.
Wait, hold on, Charles. You're not looking at the context. The Ancient of Days, is that a time?
Isn't that a particular period, a particular time period?
Does it sound like a period?
Well, it actually sounds like because it when you say it came to the ancient of days, it sounds like something in the past.
That sounds like the past?
Ancient of days, yeah.
Ancient of Days does not sound like a time, Charles. Rethink that.
Well, let me go to the BD or not BD, the Strong's for
That-
ancient, because when I use
That's not going to
ancient,
help. Ancient,
then
what is ancient? Is ancient a time or is it a depiction or a description of something being old?
a description of being something old.
Yeah. So there's something old of days. Does that sound like a time or does that sound like a person or being?
That sounds more like a thing to me rather than time when we put it in that.
Yeah. So then what is the Ancient of Days? And don't forget to look at the other verses that we read last time. What was the last verses that we read last time? Charles?
So in the last one, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
The last one we started talking about the four beasts, first beast, second beast, the four beasts being the four kingdoms and all of that. We got into that discussion. I'm trying to figure out how that's going to help me with this one because last one was just we got into the
What
four
did each
beasts, we
beast
got into four
represent?
kingdoms, different kingdoms.
Yeah. Okay, so going from it. Verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. You're not keeping in context of what we read last time. What does that sound like? What does the Ancient of Days sound like?
Now it starts to when you okay. Now it sounds like a person. The Ancient of Days did sit.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, but that's your problem. You didn't look at the context at all. You just guessed. We had the answer here. I've told you about this before. You can't just be guessing if we already have the answer. We had it from last time, but you didn't even look. You need to start looking at the word and stop just guessing off the top of your head because you have not yet once got it right when you just guess off the top of the head instead of looking at the word. Every single time you may get close, but not once have you gotten it right when you do that. You got to stop doing that. Go back to the word, read a couple verses before if you have to. All right?
Then I'll start with 9. Then I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. I totally forgot about this. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Okay, yeah. So I totally forgot about that. So now we're getting into the person that he's seeing in the visions, like the Son of Man.
The vision's like the Son of Man?
In the visions that he had at night, when he said, "And behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds."
Yes, but
I already
is
brought
this
that
the
part
same
up.
person?
One like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven
Charles, you're doing it again.
and came
Read
to
the
the
whole
Ancient of
thing
Days.
together.
So start from verse 1 of 7 all the way down to
No,
what I just finished.
9.
Oh. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him.
So, is the Son of Man the Ancient of Days?
We're talking about a separation here before I get
Yeah.
tripped up on that. So there's a separation.
And who is the Son of Man?
Before I get
Charles,
tripped up
did you
on
hear
it,
me?
I was about
What
to
we just
say,
talked about this earlier. What did it say he was coming as? And we've heard this before.
well, the Son of Man, we've already heard that, like the Isaiah 9:7 about him being the Prince of Peace and all of those things. Um, Jesus,
No,
basically.
who it there? Okay, thank you. Jesus then comes to the Ancient of Days. Now, as we read from verse 9, the Ancient of Days sitting, the garment white as snow, head on one, that all dominion is in his hand, then who would the Ancient of Days be?
God, the Father.
There you go. So we got Jesus and God the Father. That's what we have going on here. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I had something that was stopping me from using God as an answer in my head.
What?
It was a verse we went into a while ago about how those haven't seen the Father's figure or haven't seen him, and it was a discussion we had like a long time ago.
Well, he's not seeing him directly, is he?
No, no,
This is a vision given. And did it say that he saw the Ancient of Days as in like looking at him, or that he
no.
saw that this happened?
He's just watching the situation happen,
Yeah. So he's looking at the
like an
situation.
audience
He's not,
member. Yeah, he's like the
you see what I'm
audience,
saying?
basically, just watching
He's
it.
not seeing God the Father. He's seeing Jesus and God intermingling. He's seeing the way that they're working together, which this actually goes in to prove another point. What does that prove?
The point of there being the Father separation from Jesus, how you can still have God and God and you mean that separate the Trinity
Yeah,
concept? Or?
exactly. This proves the Trinity. The fact that there was literally the Ancient of Days, and this is talking about the end times. Now, how do we know that?
Didn't we talk about it in the last one from before? I gotta go back to it. Fire restraint
No.
issued in
Last one, we were talking about the kingdoms that had already passed. Medo-Persian, Babylonian, Greek. We're in the Roman one now. That one's gone now. So what part makes it, and remember, instead of just guessing, I want you to reread. How do we know we're talking about the end times?
oh, then I don't know, because that's what I was about to bring up in the end of verse 10. The judgment was set and the books were open.
Okay. What about that makes you know that we're talking about the end times?
I would need a reference verse with it from Revelations.
Well, just give the concept if you know. You don't necessarily need to have the reference verse. What is the
Oh, at
concept
the
going
end,
on that
you
backs
mean
it up?
at the end time when everybody's being judged? Are you going here? Are you going there for the works you did, for everything you've done? Did you follow God the right way? Did you not follow God? Are you going to lake of fire? Are you going to paradise? That concept.
No, you didn't give any reference of time in your statement at all just now. Try again.
Uh,
You said the concept without any form of time. Like, how do we? I'm gonna say my question again. How do we know it's the end times it's talking about? That verse
after
does
I was,
work, but yeah, you got to be able to explain that.
that's what I'm trying to do is have a better way to explain that. I don't have a better way to explain it at the moment. I'm trying to think of a way to
Really?
better explain it. Not at the moment.
All right. Think about what I said in your correction. You didn't give any reference of time in your answer. That means your whole answer was not entirely wrong. But you got to explain it with also having the time frame explained.
Well, if you're talking about the time frame, we're talking about after those four kingdoms that we talked about in that last Bible study. This is all supposed to happen after all of that stuff.
What does that have to do with the verse you said, and how it has to do with the end times?
Because in those verses from what 1 to 8, didn't we get into first kingdom, second kingdom, third kingdom, fourth kingdom, and what would happen in those kingdoms as part of the vision?
That doesn't tell us that it's the end times. All right, Thomas, let me give you the chance.
Let me switch over from this Bluetooth real quick.
The booklet.
I said Bluetooth. Headphones are trash. I only like have them
Oh,
on when I'm listening, but when I go to talk, I turn them off. All right. So, in regards to Jesus returning, and I was looking here at 14, and it's pretty much saying, giving him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages shall serve him, and his dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. But in regards to that, so are you wanting something in reference to strictly context, or can I just give an example?
well, no, it has to be related in the context. Remember, the question was, how do we know it's talking about the end times in these verses? The verse you brought up shows nothing of it being the end times. How do we know? What about verse 14? You guys aren't listening to the question, or you're just trying to give an answer, not thinking it through. 14 says absolutely nothing about the end times. The only thing it says is that whoever the Son of Man is has dominion, has power, has all that. Where else in the Bible or anywhere have we seen where that means it's the end of days? Have we, Thomas?
Up to this point, I don't know off the top of the head.
We haven't, exactly.
Okay.
So all you did was look at the general, that guy being in charge, and you didn't focus on what the question was. The question I'm asking for is for proof or evidence that we're talking about the end times. And this is part of the problem. You guys aren't focusing on what I'm saying. Charles brought up a good example. Verse 10 from last time. And what did that verse say, Charles?
Yeah, I said the judgment was set and the books were open.
Exactly. Now, what about that could we prove it's the end times? Judgment being set doesn't tell us anything. We don't have anything to say. We're being judged all the time. Every time we die, our judgment is set. Right or wrong, Charles?
Right.
So then, if that can't be it, what else is left in that verse?
Let me go back. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. Are you talking about just the thousands of the people that are waiting before the judgment?
Charles, never mind.
You said in that verse.
I literally just said two things and then took one off the table, and then you brought something that was not what I said at all. There were two things you said. One was the judgment is set and the books were opened. I said, okay, well, the judgment, we could be judged at any time, so that can't be it. So what else is left? The books being opened.
How does that explain the time reference that I couldn't explain earlier?
I'm about to say it. I just need to take a second. Because this is a little bit, it is what it is. We read in Revelation, and I've brought this up many times when talking about how we're judged by everything that we do, not just one thing. All our actions are taken into account. Revelation 2012. Go ahead and go to that, Charles.
Say it again.
Revelation 2012. Chapter 20, verse 12.
I'm there.
Go ahead and read it.
And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another
Thank
book
you.
was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. But before you continue, this is what I was saying earlier on how I don't have the Revelation verse to go
You didn't
with
need
it.
the Revelation verse.
Well, can you explain it
You
without the Revelation
and
verse?
yes. Because you know the concept from the verse. And I've brought this up maybe 1,000 times. I've brought this up. So all you had to say was there was another verse that we read about where it showed the books being open and that judgment being there, being at after judgment day, that it being at the end of the time. That's good enough. You've
Oh, now I got to
explained the
re-listen
point.
because I thought I brought it up
No, you said the
before the time
judgment.
thing.
Saying that we're going to be judged does not explain anything, because we are judged for everything we do at all times. We're being judged. It's the books being open. I just said that. We only saw or heard about the books being open one time. Only one place have we heard that. So you didn't need to literally quote the verse, but you did need to bring up the books being open was only shown to happen after Judgment Day. What you went into was the judgment being set. Judgment being set gives no frame of reference on time at all. Are we not judged at each moment and how we're going to move forward in life? Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Don't our length of our days get judged by how closely we follow God or not? Yeah. So is judgment set even before Judgment Day? Yeah, we're being judged on a regular basis, weighing the scales, discerning where we are. And when I corrected you, I said not the judgment part. But what else is there then? After you literally only said two things: judgment set or books being open. So then it had to be the books being open. So no, you did not go into the books being open at all. You went into the judgment being set. And that's not the correct answer. The books being open. Now, I'm going to give you another chance. And this is something that we've gone over less than the other one, but I did bring it up during this Bible study. So it should be able to get it. Charles, in your section you read today, not yesterday's, in today's, what was there that proves that we're talking about the end times?
Let me go back.
Mm-hmm.
Saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the ancient days, and they brought him near before him.
To Ancient of Days, not Ancient Days.
Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and the kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me known the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall rise out of the earth. So, ask the question again.
In this section, something proves that we're talking about the end times here. In this section. What in this section proves we're talking about the end times? And again, you don't need a quoted verse, but you do need a concept that we've had from a verse. And obviously, since we're talking about the end times, it has to be able to show a frame of reference of time. And I brought it up already during this Bible study.
Sorry for the silence. I was thinking of a way to explain it.
You're good. The explanation shouldn't be taking this long, though. That tells me you don't know what it is. Do you
Not at the
not know what
moment.
it
I
is?
don't. No, not at the moment.
Okay, you should have just said that. Thomas, do you know what it is from this section?
Verse 13, when it says the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. So, like you were saying previously, that they came and the books are open.
What does the books being open have to do with this?
Well, it's in reference to that same time. I was just referring back to that. So them coming with and along with them coming, the books are open. The judgment was about to occur, was occurring.
Where did we see judgment in verse 13?
I was referring back to 10, I believe.
Okay, Thomas, you got to listen to the question. I said in this section, not yesterday's. That means just in these 5 verses, nothing else in the past. You could bring up another verse as a proving verse, but it has to connect to what we're reading here.
I said 13, verse 13. Them
Yeah,
coming in
but
the
then you
clouds.
brought up something that has nothing to do with verse 13. What in verse 13 talks about judgment?
Well, it was about, I can't even talk. It was what was about to take place by them coming in the first place.
But did it say anything in 13 about judgment or about
No,
books being open?
that was me referring back to 10.
That's my point. The question was about it's in this section. So not a good
Yeah.
answer. All right. When Jesus talked about the end times and his second coming, what did he say he was going to be coming as, Charles? Do you remember?
Coming in the clouds is all I remember.
And does that relate to anything in your section?
13.
And what part of 13 does that relate to?
One like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven.
Thank you. There's your answer, guys. Jesus literally said at the end times when everything's going into judgment day that he will be returning on the clouds. And in verse 13, we have it say that the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven. Boom. There you go. There's your answer. Straightforward, pretty simple. Now, we do have something that creates a possible contradiction of understanding in your section, Charles. And I'm going to give you a hint. It's within the last 2 verses. What is it?
Oh yeah, I'm unmuted. I don't know at the moment.
Okay. Thomas?
Is it in regards to the beast and how people, what was I going to say? Is it in regards to the beast?
Mm-hmm. What about him, though?
Them not being like actual beasts?
No. Charles, what does the word shall mean?
Do
What?
you shall, as in you'll do, to do.
No. Will, not you. You shall means you will. So if you take out the you, what does that leave you with?
Will.
Okay. Is that past tense, present tense, or future tense?
Present tense.
Present tense? Will is present tense?
You shall clean the dish. Oh well, yeah, you can use it for future tense too. Tell them as because it's like a command.
You will clean the dishes? Is that present or is that future?
Future when I use it in that example because it's used as a commandment in that part.
It,
Like a like
okay,
a like
I
a
gotta ask, in what way can will be a present tense and not just future? Give me one example.
I'm trying to think of one. Mm.
Good.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. Future tense. Future tense. Sorry.
All right. So, with that understanding, verse 17, these great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. Now, we just said that the word will is future reference. So when we look at it from that perspective, these four kingdoms, are they past tense, present tense, or future tense that they should be coming out? Or should have come out? Either way. Which are they, Thomas?
Future,
Yeah.
which will
So that creates a possible misinterpretation from everything that we read last time. Because when he says this, which will arise out of the earth, this could be including the total time span. However, from what we're seeing from it and what we saw from all the connections and history and everything, seems like most of them have already taken place. So here's the other way that will can be used. Will can be used as having no tense if you're talking about something generically as a whole. So, as example, you will have 7 girlfriends, Charles, in your life. And 2 of them will have the same name. Just argument's sake, just giving a point. Now, Charles, when I say that, have you already had 2 girls with the same name?
Right. Yeah.
Now, when I say that as that will, that's actually not a future tense at all, is it?
No.
Exactly. It actually has no tense. It's talking about something as a whole. And that's the bottom line. So these are the kingdoms that will rise out of the earth. That could be talking about all the kingdoms together combined. You see what I'm saying?
Instead of it giving like a pinpointed, like, hey, this is what it is. It's just a broad sense
Exactly.
from a specific to a broad is what I'm trying to say. We're going from specific to broad. Is that what is that how you're trying to explain it? Okay.
Exactly. Because if we look at it from a tense, as I asked, will is future tense only. If we're talking about from past, present, or future, it's
Mhm.
only future. But if we're using it as a generic term for the total of something, as by the, which is still future tense, because if we're talking about from that perspective, we're saying by the time it all finishes, this is the total. And when you say it like that as a total sum of something, then now it becomes, it's still future reference, still future tense, but it's referencing the total, the totality, which is a different situation. You see what I'm
Which is
saying?
a bigger picture than just what we were doing before.
Exactly. So on one side of it, where it could create that contradiction, that is a possibility, is it could be talking about 4 kingdoms that have not happened yet. Or what it could be talking about is that those will be the only empires left, or the only empires that actually take place in total throughout all of history. Does that make sense, Charles and Thomas?
When you bring it up in that example for the shall and or for the will and how you can use will in a broad sense, a bigger picture sense, non-tense sense.
Exactly. He said nonsense. I thought you said nonsense for a second.
It sounded like that, didn't it? It's the list. I still have a list. I don't know. I can't get rid of it.
It's all good. So now, with that in mind, That's what allows it to, that when I say all the time when I talk to you guys about getting context. This is why the whole possibilities of it is. You can't have something as a possibility that is a non-possibility. That's true. But you got to think about all the possibilities it could be. When we look at it from a good way to do it is like what I just did with the example of girlfriends. When using it in another sentence in a different subject, that may help you as a tool to get the understanding a little bit easier. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So now with this in mind, as I'll just go back through this, so we have basically at the end times, when we're going through in 13 and 14, we have Jesus coming back on the clouds and then going towards God the Father, being brought near him. And he was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, and that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. Now, this is important for another reason. We saw in Deuteronomy about the requirement. Are we allowed to have more than one God, Charles?
No.
Good. Yet, the Son of Man, when it says in here, it says that he's going to have dominion, is an everlasting dominion. Well, who else besides God would have an everlasting dominion? Thomas?
His son, it's not him, nobody else.
Exactly. But that didn't work with the question, but the concept is what I was getting at. So that's fine. No one but God can have an everlasting dominion. No one but God has glory and kingdom over all nations, languages, and should serve him, especially considering the requirement of no other God but him. So here we have a definitive proof as well that the Son of God would also be God. It's also showing that Trinity aspect here. And then Daniel, as he started pointing out, he was grieved in his spirit. He was stressed out. And in the midst of his body, he was feeling it, man. His head was troubled. And then he came near to the one of them that stood by and asked him to explain everything. And so from 17 on, now we're going to start getting the explanations for what we've read already, not just from today, but from the beginning of chapter 17 with these beasts and the whole interpretation. Starting off with verse 17, the four beasts are four kingdoms that will arise or shall arise out of the earth. And as we talked about with the word will arise, that doesn't have to necessarily mean future solo. It could mean future as in totality, which would include the kingdoms as we talked about, the Babylonian, the Medo-Persian, or Medo-Persian, not Meso, Medo-Persian, the Greek Empire, and the Roman Empire, which has split off and splintered, and we are part of that splinter, so to speak. Now, does anybody have any comments or questions as we go to the second section? Now would be the time to raise your hand. All right, then go ahead, Thomas, when you're ready.
We're reading Daniel chapter 7, verses 18 through 22. Give it a couple of seconds. But the saint of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possesses the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth for the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue in his feet. And one of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was most stout. than his fellows. I beheld, and the
More
same
stout,
horn.
not most stout.
Okay. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saint of the Most High, to the saints of the Most
Saints.
High.
Good catch.
And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So Daniel went over to this dude. Not the dude, it's not a dude. Okay. But he goes over and he asks like for him to explain what was going on. So he's pretty much explaining. He started with the four beasts being the four kingdoms, and then he goes into breaking down the beast. Hold on one second.
Mhm.
Let me read 19 real quick. Let me start at 18. But the saints of the
Mhm.
Most High, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess it the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So he's talking about the saints being like the angels, correct? Matt.
Yeah.
Okay, just making
Wait,
sure.
you said you say he's what?
So I was reading, and then I asked you a question afterwards.
No, I know. I said yes, and like when you called my name, I was waiting for the question.
The saints being angels.
No. Where did we see saints were angels ever?
So is it referring to God?
God.
Let me look it up. Holy One, Jesus. It says angels, saints.
Not talking about the BDB, are you?
Well, I read the Strong's first. I said Holy One, Saint.
Yeah, only one are saint.
So
Okay,
Jesus,
so
God.
mm-mm. Plural, not singular, right? And we already said, and you're not taking into account the context. We already said who Jesus and God was in this context of this chapter. Who were Jesus and God?
They're one.
No.
What are you
Yes,
asking?
but no. In the chapter, we said we already showed who was
Oh,
Jesus and who was God in the chapter.
so God is the ancient times
Not
and
ancient
Jesus,
times, ancient of days.
ancient of days, and Jesus was the Son of Man on the clouds.
Okay, so
Yeah. Okay.
we have ancient of days in your section, right?
Excuse me. I don't see it. Oh yeah, at the bottom, 22.
Mm-hmm. And what does it say?
Until the ancient of days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So let me
Okay.
wrap my head around that.
Mm-hmm.
So the angel, so God came, and then judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. So the saints being like the people who followed God.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
We would be considered the saints. Well,
Okay.
you not you yet, but once you're baptized.
You just have to throw that in there. Okay.
I have to make sure it's a point of issue. We
Yeah.
have to understand where the focus is. So
That was not needed for the focus, but okay.
but on a more focused point, yes. The saints are the ones who have obeyed the gospel who are following God.
Gotcha. So back to 18. Read it again. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom of forever. So pretty much it's talking about all the people that follow God according to the way he asked and gave their lives to him. They would possess the kingdom and reside there forever and ever.
Good. And
And
what kingdom are we talking about there again? Talking about after these four beasts, right? when Jesus comes back.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're gonna possess the kingdom forever and ever. All right, cool.
19, I'm gonna read that. Then I would know the truth for the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. So it's just explaining the fourth beast. So he's pretty much saying, like, now I would know about the fourth beast. And it gave an explanation for that about him being dreadful, and his teeth were of iron and his nails of brass. And yeah. So we have
Question.
that. Go ahead.
What part was iron and what part was brass on the statue?
So his legs are iron. And his I think his chest was brass.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, his chest wasn't brass. His torso was brass.
Torso. Yeah. Torso was brass.
His chest was silver.
Okay.
So we had gold, silver, iron. Gold, silver, brass, and then iron.
Right.
And then iron and clay.
Right. So he was.
Which ones were iron and which one was brass?
Let me read. Hold on.
No. Which if you don't remember, it's fine. But which ones of the statue were iron or brass?
Let me ask you this question: did it go in order of the beast, like from lion to dragon?
What do you mean in order?
The order of from head to toe.
Yes. Yes, it did.
Okay, so what was head again? Did it explain the head? I can't recall.
Well, no. Remember, that's okay. We're getting off track.
I'm getting to the answer. What was the head again?
But the beast doesn't tell you the answer. None of the beast tells you the answer on this. To the question, the original thing would tell you. But if you don't remember the original thing, you won't know.
So, okay.
Do you remember what the original statue was?
It was that picture you showed. Yeah, that picture you showed, but I don't remember the name of it.
Okay, let me give Charles a chance. Charles, do you remember what iron and brass were? Which empires?
Wasn't brass third, iron was fourth? Brass being the torso and iron being the legs.
Okay, we already said that. Do you remember what? I'm gonna say the question again. Charles, do you remember what empires the third and fourth
Greek
were?
and Roman.
Thank you. Yes, Greek and Roman. Iron represents the Roman. Brass represents the Greek. From what we had the context of that statue. So, most likely, why bring up the teeth of iron and the nails of brass? Thomas? And this is not a right or wrong answer unless it's something outlandish. And it would just definitely be wrong.
I was thinking
what Charles just said, by the way.
I was thinking like in reference to like a hammer, iron striking the brass. But
Thomas, I'm gonna ask the question again.
Go ahead.
Knowing what Charles said, of which one represented which empire, what is the most likely reason why putting those here? The iron and the brass.
All right, let me read 19 one more time. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue. So is it like a concoction of them both?
Yeah. Because remember, the fourth beast represents the Roman Empire, right? But iron was the Roman Empire. Brass was the Greek. So why bring up the grass here when the iron represented the Roman Empire? Because there's still semblances, there's still residue, there's still parts of the Greek Empire that were intertwined in the Roman Empire. And if you look at the way the Roman Empire ran in comparison with the Greek, there's a lot of similarities between the two. There's some key differences, but there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Makes more sense. All right. So we have like, I'm gonna just jump to 20 and read it real
Mhm.
quick. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the others which came up before whom 3 fell. Okay, so now we're talking about um Rome, I believe, right? And of Rome that it branched.
Yes and no, because
I'm
we
about to
talked about
explain.
this yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to explain. So Rome,
Uh,
and it branched off into like 10 different, what was it? Different
10
not
different kingdoms.
10 different kingdoms, by which 3 was taken out. And by those 3 being taken out, then we have the church rising
I
up, and
wouldn't
that was
use taken now. I would say absorbed. Um,
absorbed by
because
the
it's
church,
like
correct?
they weren't like taken over, but it was more like the religion just overtook it over time, but like not overtaken, more like absorbed.
Okay, so we have we have the religion, the church taking
Yeah.
over time. Those
The
3
Catholic
kingdoms,
Church.
the Catholic Church taking over time. Those 3 kingdoms. That's what 20 is pretty much talking about. Then it's talking about that it had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows.
And what area
So
was it that did this?
I'm sorry.
I brought it up. What area or what horn? What is the little horn that did this? It's not just the Catholic Church. There was an area that I brought up.
Ooh, I don't recall.
Okay. Charles, do you remember what the area was?
No, I don't remember.
The Vatican. Vatican City.
Vatican.
Those
Okay.
three those 3 kingdoms got absorbed into the Vatican, and the Vatican City basically took over those areas. Not literally took over, but you get absorbed, so to speak.
Give me 2
All
seconds.
right.
I gotta grab my charger.
You said what?
Give me 2 seconds. I gotta grab my charger. Sorry for the hold up.
Oh, not a problem.
All right. So on the 21, let me read it. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Oh boy. So 21, we have the Catholic Church, the Vatican, killing the Christians and people who were really devoted to God and just their whole life, who just killing them off, and they prevailed over them by doing so. And then in 22,
Well, explain what an example or of the times or something to explain how it could show or prove that they prevailed against them.
they made it to the point where Christians were hated, and if you were found worshiping God or anything of the such, you would be killed. Is that a good explanation or no?
No, because you didn't bring up the Catholic Church at all in that explanation.
Well, the Catholic Church was doing just that, killing the Christians.
There you
But
go.
if they
But
didn't, well,
there's one part that you need to bring up, because prevailing means succeeding. So you can't forget to bring up how they succeeded in it.
right. So if it wasn't in accordance to what how they went about things, the Catholic Church, then the Christians would be killed because of that. So of course
No,
the
but
Christians are
good
going to stay
try.
firm on. Okay, go ahead.
That was a good try though, but no. Charles, give you the chance.
Oh, I don't have one.
All right. The Catholic Church went around in their crusades, killing Christians, destroying, decimating different churches, ones that were actually following God, unlike the Catholic Church, who were doing their own way in the blasphemies as it spoke of. And the Catholic Church is still here today. So even after the destruction, even after taking them out and all that, they're still here. So that would be them succeeding after coming against the saints, succeeding because they're still around. Do you see how that's different from what you were saying, Thomas?
Yeah, they still here. That's all you have to say.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, but I couldn't say it without giving it to you, you know. So I was like, I give you the chance, and
Yeah.
I give Charles, because if I would have just said that, I couldn't have given Charles a chance. Now, Charles, could you have figured that out, or was that something beyond what you could have thought of?
Beyond what I could have thought of, like the last Bible study. I didn't know much about the crusade thing at all. You had to explain it in the last one.
Okay. All right, then go ahead and continue with the final verse explanation, Thomas, for your section.
But in continuation of 21, until the Ancient of Days came, he cut all that stuff out. He couldn't have it no more. Oh, y'all want to bully my people? All right. I will crush you with my heel. Don't play with me. All right.
Exactly.
Let me just read it. And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So God shows up, gives judgment to his people, and the people that were worthy possess his kingdom. Pretty much it.
Now, what does that mean in a regular sense in reference to the Catholic Church, if this interpretation is accurate?
In regular sense, that means he got rid of it. He destroyed it pretty much.
Well, no. I mean, like, you just started with the third part, but like, what with the first part of 22? What does that mean
Until
for
the
it?
ancient. So they prevailed. They were prevailing until the Ancient of Days came, and he put it all to rest.
So what does that mean
Showed
in a regular sense?
he showed that the Catholic Church was never truly about God in the first place. They were imposters.
No. A good try. Charles,
Ask the question again.
knowing from what we've seen in the context that we're talking about the Catholic Church, most likely, then in the beginning from 21 and 22, what does that mean in a regular sense in reference to them?
Everything they did was in vain because they won until God came back, or God came and judged. So what they did was in vain. That's all I can think of.
No. You guys are adding to it. Nowhere did it say that it was pointless, did it?
No.
Exactly. This is why I say again, reading it. What does it say in verse 21? I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came. Okay, so does that say anything is pointless or in vain? No. So what would be the regular term of explaining what's happening there? If you were just saying it in a regular sense.
Then I don't
Come
have
on, Charles. Like that, it's so straightforward. That they're gonna keep going until Jesus comes back. If they prevail until the Ancient of Days comes, well, when does the Ancient of Days come? Ancient of Days comes back. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
When does the Ancient of Days come back? He comes back at the Judgment Day. That's when he comes back. That's when he comes. So if he comes back and the Ancient of Days comes back at then what does that mean for the Catholic Church? That means that they're going to be successful. They're going to keep going until that time, until Jesus' return. That's what that means. in a regular sense. Now, do you understand how it got to that point, Charles and Thomas?
Could you further elaborate?
All right. But first, let me see, Thomas, do you understand how it got there?
Yeah, now that how you just explained it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So the reason that it got there, Charles, is because we saw, as we talked about, the small horn. From all evidence, that seems to be the Catholic Church and the Vatican. That's what it seems to be based on the evidence and the context. So when we look at it from that sense and the war with the saints, we already brought up the example of the Crusades, right?
Right.
So we have the war with the saints, but that's not the only thing going on. They're still at war with the rest of the they're still at war with the saints, right? If you go to other nations, they allow for Catholic, but if you're following any other version or following the Bible of Christianity, you could be put to death for it. But yet they have Catholic churches that are allowed to be there. So it's still going on even today. So prevailed against them. So that means succeeded. But it says that they prevailed against them, and then we go into the beginning of 22 until the Ancient of Days came. Now, when does the Ancient of Days come? When
Judgment Day.
everything's done, Judgment Day. So if they're successful against the saints until the day of judgment, or the Judgment Day, well, what would that mean
Catholics
for
are
the
gonna
Catholic?
Catholics are gonna they're still gonna keep warring. They're still gonna win the war too, with everything they've been doing in the past and even now until Jesus comes back, until
Exactly.
Judgment Day.
Exactly. So all their false teachings, all their blasphemies, all that is going to keep on going until Judgment Day. God's not stopping it, which is interesting considering, and this is why, as another point to bring up, people say, well, why are there so many, there's so many different versions of the Bible, there's so many religions of Christianity, how do you know which one's right? The one that lines up with the Bible. You go to the King James, you can read it as we see it from the King James. Thomas, would you be a Catholic if you really read the King James and saw it, even if they're the ones that put it out?
Heck no.
Exactly. That's how you know that God shines true, because even the one that put it out didn't realize that they condemned themselves. How are you going to put out a book that shows that you're the one who's the little horn? You're the one that is going at war against the saints. Like literally everything proves to it so far. And obviously there could be some mass revelation that everything is understood and it's not them. But realistically, even when looking at their false teachings, you know they're blasphemous. We know they're false teachers. And so to know that God is not taking them out until the time of Judgment Day, that they're going to be here the whole time, they look at it from their perspective and, well, we've been around since the beginning, and they think that they're right with God. But in reality, you're the one prophesied that's going to be misleading everybody. Of all things, the closest you could be is not Christian, but actually anti-Christian. So, just a little heads up on there why that's important. Does that make sense, Thomas and Charles?
Now it does.
Yeah.
All right. Now, does anybody have any comments or questions as we go before we go to the last section? Now would be the time to raise your hand. All right. Verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue the 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. and they shall be given into the hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me. I've even heard of that word before. Much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me. But I kept the matter in heart. All right, so we have more depiction from that fourth kingdom. Then it's going to be diverse from all the kingdoms. It's going to be different from all. I mean, it's going to be diverse, different, not different, but like separate. And it's going to devour the whole world and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Then we got into the 10 kings, as we brought up before, as I could put it back on the screen now. The 10 kingdoms that spawned from the Roman Empire. Let's see. We have the Vandals and Alans in Spain and Africa. We have the Suevians in Spain, the Visigoths, the Alans in Gallia, the Burgundians, the Franks, the Britons, the Huns, the Lombards, and Ravenna. So we have those literal kingdoms that popped out of the Roman Empire. Again, going back to prove that point. And the fact that it was going to consume 3 of them. Again, as we talked about with the Vatican and how it absorbed them. And then we go into talking about the judgment shall sit. So the judgment is just sitting. It's just there. And they're going to take away his dominion and consume it and destroy it unto the end. So to the end of it being destroyed. But as we brought up in 25, when we talked about it before, the times changing and the laws and everything being given into the hand until a time and times and a dividing of time. Literally, people from the Catholic Church started the Greco-Roman calendar. And that literally went to the 7 days where they split it differently, and Sunday being the last day of the week, or the first day of the week, but being a day of rest. Not the Sabbath, that's religious, but the Sunday is a different day. But as we go and we're seeing this, then there's going to be a time where the saints afterwards, after the whole kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom that happens after, is given to the people of the saints of the Most High, and their kingdom is going to be an everlasting. So to those of us that are actually obeyed the gospel and following, we're going to be there with the everlasting kingdom. And all dominion shall serve and obey him. So the Most High is going to be served and obeyed. Now this goes into an interesting point that people don't understand. Part of why God is so strict. Now, I've never asked this question before, but we do have a little semblance of it if we're here as to why. Charles, why is God so strict in relevance to this section I read? What would be one reason shown from what I read as to why God is so strict?
Skip me and let me think about it.
All right. Thomas?
It matters to distinguish who's truly following and truly wants this for their life over the people who are just betraying a facade.
I'm going to ask the question again.
That's why I feel like he's so strict regarding to
You didn't
everything
listen. You didn't pay
required.
attention to the whole question. I said in reference to what I read. What is one reason why God is so strict in reference to what I read? You just answered generically why God is so strict. You didn't put it in reference of what I just read.
I understand. In regards to
There's something in
throughout
what I just
everything,
read that shows why it would be needed.
I was thinking in reference to the context about the reason why he's so strict is because let me put it in words. So the reason why he is so strict is because throughout all this and the Vatican remaining and stuff like that, he wants to see who is true to him to death. That's what I was thinking.
That doesn't say why he's strict. That's saying how he's strict. A good
Okay.
try. Charles?
I don't have a way to explain it, but I think you're going to pull part of 27, but I don't have a way to explain it.
Hey, good guess. It does have to do with 27. All right. What does it say at the end of 27 with the word and on? Thomas.
And all dominions shall serve and obey him.
Yeah. When we're in heaven, and even before heaven, when we're serving God on earth, like for those that are still, if, and mind you, we haven't gotten to that part, so I'm not saying this is for sure yet. If the rapture happens and if there are people that deal with tribulation before Judgment Day, we're supposed to be serving Him regardless. And when we get to heaven, and even before, while we're here on earth, and especially for those in that time, required to remain faithful, what do you think it's going to be like when we're in heaven? Think we're going to just walking around playing pool? Think we're going to be swimming in swimming pools and just listening to rap or rock or R&B? Think that's what we're going to be doing when we're in heaven? No. We're going to be serving and obeying Him. We're going to be worshiping Him. We're going to be enjoying time with Him and with each other. All this stuff that's on the earth ain't going to be there. So when we really look at it from that perspective, why is God so strict on His rules and regulations here? Because He's weeding out, and this is the part that you started going into, Thomas. He's weeding out those that are actually going to follow or not. Because how are you supposed to follow God in heaven? How are you supposed to do that if you can't even do the best effort here? If you can't even give your best effort here on earth, how are you supposed to do it with Him where you have to do it 24/7? So when we look at what we're going to be doing in heaven, yeah, there's going to be no more diseases. It's going to be all peace, joy. That's going to be happening. But think about what we're going to be doing when we're there. We're going to be sitting here lounging around, playing mini golf or something. No, we're going to be enjoying time with each other and also in worship of Him. So how much more the strictness and everything that He does here with us, it shows why when we think about what we're going to be doing later, what our life is going to be like for all eternity. Don't get me wrong. As it says, no more pain, no more sorrow, just joy and everything. It says that. But a lot of the things that we do here, it ain't going to be there. Your worldly possessions. That's why God is so strict. And that's what shows from 27. One reason, I should say. Does that make sense, Thomas and Charles?
Yep.
Yeah. And I had a feeling you were going to use 27 though, but now I'm glad you explained it.
Yeah. So then we have in 28, after he explains all this, that Daniel goes off saying that this troubled me. It troubled my cogitations. Now, I've never heard the word, have either of you heard the word cogitations ever before?
It
Never.
sounds similar to cognitive or like the mindset.
No, I think the same thing, but that's not what I asked.
Yeah, I heard you. I know I haven't. You're supposed to sit down. I want to hear what I've asked.
Hey, well, you waste time when you answer things that ain't what the question was,
I thought we was
and
just
you
having a
distract.
casual Bible study conversation.
See, what happened was is then you woke up. So, Charles, I didn't hear your answer.
Oh, well, my bad. I was talking at the same time as Thomas. I said never.
Okay. So when you look up the word for cogitations, really, the phonetic is rayon. That's the word rayon, and it means literally it's like a thought. It's correspondingly a grasp or figuratively mental conception, cogitation. So it is like cognitive understanding or your cognitive ability. So it's like your thought process. So as for me, Daniel, my whole thought process troubled me. It much troubled me. And my countenance, which as we said, your countenance is your expression that's so expressive you can like see it in your face, changed in me. But I kept the matter in my heart. So it impacted me on such a profound level that it changed my whole demeanor. My whole demeanor, not demeanor, that's not a word. My whole demeanor. But I still kept the matter in my heart. So I still kept it in mind. I still kept it in my heart. Even though it troubled me, even though I didn't let this go. Now, this is something that's a good and interesting example for us when it comes to our life in God. Yes, we have to think about salvation. And yes, when you think about the struggles that you have, you should feel some conviction about the mistakes that you make. But don't let the understanding of the struggle, the understanding of the problem, cause you to just let it go, to not think about it. We got to be like Daniel in this example. And we got to make sure we keep it in our heart. Because as we strive for this, as we strive to live that life, we have to keep in mind if we want to have that salvation, we want to have that peace, we want to have no more tears, no more sorrow. If that's what we want, then we got to be ready and understand that we're going to struggle and we need to keep working towards it, keep moving forward. So, with all that in mind, does anybody have any comments or questions before we pray it out? Now would be the time to raise your hand. All right. Then I will go ahead and pray us out. Everybody bow your heads. Father, thank you for this time that you've given us to be able to read your word, for everything that we've been able to learn today, and for the difference in patience and even in the midst of frustration for me, God, because I was able to even notice growth for me today, getting frustrated but taking a pause instead of snapping. So I just pray that we continue to keep this in mind and keep it in heart, that even as we go to learn, and not just as we go to learn, but go to teach, that we can have that patience built and that we can do a better job to not only get to the point where we don't snap or even react like I did earlier with stopping it, but getting to the point that we don't even get frustrated by that, whether we're the ones learning or we're the ones teaching. In your son's holy and precious name, Jesus Christ Yeshua. Amen.
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 All right, y'all. Charles, it sounds like you need to get some rest. And by the way, let me go ahead and tell y'all what our listening for today is. Today's Bible listening is 1 Samuel chapter 15 to chapter 25. 1 Samuel chapter 15 to 25.
Got it.
All right. And Charles, are you as tired as I think you are?
No,
No?
no,
You seem out of it.
no.
Really?
In the Bible
Oh,
study, yeah, but not entirely.
Oh, okay. Well, you just seemed out of, so I was just checking in on you because I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
man,
no, just a Bible study.
It was just
Okay.
Revelation.
yeah. So
Revelation related.
it's just difficult going through these sections. I feel it. I feel it. All right, y'all. Talk to you later.